Hello and welcome back to the Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP 2018 season. We're in Germany for the 6th round of the season and the 2nd round in the lovely 1989 Mercedes-Benz C9 Le Mans edition. My name is Justin, and joining me once again, it's Chris.
Always happy to be back in the box for VGP. Here we are at the awesome Nürburgring in Germany. Michael Schmidl continues his dominance of the series, as you can clearly see. But this may well be a circuit that could bring his reign to an end, but we will see as the race progresses.
Yeah, in the championship standings, it's 60 points between Schmidl and Blazek, but just 4 points between Blazek and Dolezal. It's very, very tight in the just below Michael Schmidl. So we'll see what the Nürburgring has in store for us this week.
Absolutely, and a rebranded Lenovo Legion car awaits us that Michael Blazek will be taking hold of. But from Polesny even down to Honzik, it's a very tight battle. Anything is available to our drivers. Let's have a look then at some statistic comparisons for Wojciech Polesny from last year to this. We see the grey numbers are last year, 2018 is this year in the red. 120 points he was to the good last year, only 57 this year, so it's been a bit more difficult for him, but he's been on the podium twice so far this season, and in the top 5 4 times compared to 3 last season, so it's been a mixture of results, but the points just haven't been there so much for Mr. Polesny in the Predator Blue. Now looking at Jaroslav Honzik. He was 2nd in 2016, 3rd in 2017 at this point, and it trails that particular scoreline in 7th by 39 points so far. Hasn't yet found the podium, but has found 3 top 5 finishes and 39 points after the 5 races. So we will see if Jaroslav is able to gain any more momentum after this incredible race in the Nürburgring. And the Sangdis car then is being piloted this time by Dominic Teufel instead. So as the 19-year-old has experience in Assetto Corsa and F1 2013 along with Dirt Rally and Gran Turismo, but he doesn't have any experience here in the Virtual GP, so it's really going to be interesting to see how the rookie stands up against the seasoned pros.
And taking a look back at the previous race, it was Robin Lucas, who is, again, absent today. He won't be in the Sandisk car, unfortunately, around the Nürburgring, but he was your driver of the day. It's 16 corners around this German Nürburgring circuit. We were here last season, and it was, I believe, the first place that Stefanko picked up a win. 20 degrees Celsius track temperature. And again, we do have the replacement in this week. It's going to be Dominic Teufel, who's going to be driving the Sandisk car this week. And Prohaska with a 3-place grid penalty. So does Jan Sikora and Martin Kostulik. So some 3-place grid penalties coming down after what was an incredibly chaotic race last time out. So it doesn't come as too much of a surprise to find out that indeed there are some penalties for that one. So we are going to head down now to the race, though, once again. And oh, right, the qualifying results. Schmidl on pole by almost a second, in fact.
Wow.
Dolezal 0.8 off. Stefanko just about in 3rd position. Very, very close. Polesny on the 2nd row, and then it's Zubek and Kostulik. Kostulik, of course, being demoted because of that penalty. So he would have been on the 2nd row, actually, if not for that penalty. Sikora down in 9th with his penalty as well, too. And Prohaska as well down in 12th. So, yeah, they're definitely feeling that hit. Those penalties are going to hurt them, but it's not a super difficult track to overtake at here, Chris.
Well, no, indeed, that's very true. It's a great mixture. It's a real fan favourite. It's a driver favourite as well. But, I mean, if you're leading the way by 0.8 of a second, that's kind of hard to overtake on. Wow, what an incredible pole lap then by Michael Schmidl. I'm hoping that doesn't put pay to my prediction that he may, that's his winning streak. Oh God, I'm nothing against Michael Schmidl, don't get me wrong, but it is nice to sometimes see different names towards the top end of the field, as they have now formed the 2x2 line. And we'll be getting this race underway as quickly as we can. There was a couple of people, it was the Sandisk car and the Vodafone car at the back, that were just a little bit off the back of the pack, but never mind, coming around the last turn. And it will then be up to the dominant poleman Michael Schmidl to floor it to signify the beginning of the race. And there is the green flag. We are racing here in Germany.
Yeah, Green Racing, and Schmidl does hold on to the lead, but he doesn't have the inside line. Let's see if he turns up his boost in order to get that inside line into the first corner. No, not quite. He's going to have to go around the outside. Oh, the Xiaomi Keep car goes very deep as well. One car's turned around, a couple cars off the circuit. That's a little Legion car as well. Full course yellows already in place. That's Polesny that is going to take a big hit. He's going to drop way back. So that is really unfortunate into the first corner, and we've already got an incident. Again, full course yellows are out. We'll see if any of these drivers are going to need to come into the pits in order to do any sort of repairs or anything. But it seems that Schmidl and Stefanko got away from that. No issues for them. But I definitely saw Kostulik, I think, get involved in that. Yeah, in the Xiaomi Geek car, he came in a bit hot, but it actually worked out pretty well for him in the end. He now finds himself in third.
Nicely done. But yeah, it was Peter Dolezal in the Seco Plus car that had a massive great spin, and then that big impact we saw as well. So that is going to be a bit of an issue for him, depending on if he suffered any damage. But yeah, first time we've seen the full course yellow used this season, and it's also the first time we've actually had grid penalties. So the beginning of the Nürburgring proving to be quite an interesting start. But yeah, Michael Schmidl not looking to lose too much time behind the, with that full course yellow in place, wanting to get back to the pits to see if anybody is going to come in. So yeah, he's still got a lot of work to do. He really had to muscle his way to the front, and we've seen how tricky these C9s are to pilot around Spa, and I think this track is going to highlight some quite interesting moments as well.
Yeah, to be honest, I expect this track to be even more difficult. There's a lot of slower corners. Certainly turn one, as we saw, can be very difficult. These are very big cars with lots of horsepower, and they were coming into turn one at quite a rate of knots, and we saw what that did. But they will be starting single file, of course, so I will expect them to get through turn one once the full course yellow is eventually lifted. But yeah, slower speed corners is particularly in sector one, and we do see a couple of drivers pulling off into the pits, so we will wait for their repairs and for them to rejoin this pack. So we've got a bit of time while we wait for all that to go on. But yeah, as I was saying, I fully expect this Nürburgring GP layout to be even more challenging for the drivers, just purely because, again, slower speed corners, which can really be very difficult with a car that has so much power. It can be really difficult to get on the throttle. I mean, we saw what happened to Martin Stefanko when he got on the throttle heading into the pit lane at Spa, and I have a feeling we might see some of that today.
Yeah, the moment of the pit lane for Martin Stefanko, I'm sure, is going to be a moment he will want to forget. This is actually the second time we've seen the full course yellow come out. It was in Macau, where we had a lot of problems early on in the race that threw the yellow out, but this is only the second time we've seen it. So the field then will carry on their merry way whilst waiting for Polesny and Blazek. Of course, Blazek sporting that new livery on his car. So hopefully the pilots have had a bit more of an opportunity to get used to these C9s. Of course, they don't have driver aids, they don't have traction control, they don't have ABS on them, so it is just raw power, just trying to get through onto the tarmac. And exactly as you said, it threw up some amazing moments last time. And with more corners and more twisty bits, exactly as you say, Justin, this has all the ingredients of an incredible race.
Yeah, it's gonna be difficult for all 12 of the drivers, and in fact, it's already been difficult. Again, we've not even managed to complete a full corner, never mind a full lap, until the full course yellow came out. But again, that is to be expected with such a challenge as this car. It's not easy at all. But we'll take this moment just to remind everybody, you can go to virtualgp.eu and you can vote for your driver of the day. And the vote for today's race here in Germany, that will go until the evening of July 19th. And also, you can take part in the prediction game to win an elegant Mercedes-Benz Black Edition business watch, where you just predict the top three, driver on pole position. As just to give a tip to people, I'd probably pick Schmidl. Yeah.
Fairly safe bet.
yeah, these are Swiss-made, high-quality stainless steel watches. So if you guys want to take part in that, virtualgp.eu/driver of the day. And then again, also, if you go to our website, we have the prediction game, and that is all made possible through Mercedes-Benz and the pitcrewonline.net as well. So I think we're getting pretty close. You can see Blazek and Polesny are starting to close in. If you look at the top left where the live timing is, you can see they are starting to close in. So this may possibly be the last lap under the full course yellow. So we'll have to wait and see. And there, in fact, is Polesny after that incident. But again, he's been into the pits now. He's got those repairs. So his race is not over, Chris.
No, certainly not. So he'll be quite warmed up. By the time he gets to the back of the pack, he's got a little way to go before he gets there. As there's the Republic of Gamer cars of Martin Stefanko chasing that ever-familiar rear wing of Michael Smidl. I wonder if Michael Smidl translates into robot or machine somewhere, because he's just been utterly unbeatable. We just haven't seen any mistakes from the man. If he's made any, he's certainly kept them to himself and kept them off camera. His performances have been absolutely incredible. And there is the Nova Legion car of Michael Blazek. He has found the back of the pack. And we should see there is Polesny. So he's just coming around the Dunlop curve to rejoin the back of the pack. So yeah, if you can see the field has slowed down, this will allow Polesny to catch the back of the pack. So we should be racing very, very shortly.
Yep, and again, Schmidl will be leading with Stefanko from second, so Stefanko has actually gained a position at the start due to all of that chaos. Unfortunately, it's not the position he would have wanted to gain, because he would have wanted to gain a position on the man in front of him, Michael Schmidl, but it hasn't quite worked out that way. But he does find himself in the pound seat, in the best possible location for making that overtake and taking the lead of the race, and possibly becoming, I can't believe I'm saying this, but the first person to win a race this season that isn't Michael Schmidl. So we'll see if that can even happen. We've got just over 35 minutes of racing still to go, plus one lap, and there is the message saying that we're going to get going and racing once again as Polesny rejoins the pack again from 12th position, but he's still in this race. He's on the lead lap. He's up to the back of the pack, and he can still fight for points, fight for the win, really, if this race gets crazy enough. Around the final corner they go, and we're just waiting for the green flag, and there it is, green, 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 and Michael Schmidl is away. It looks like in the background there's Zubek and Hlebets, I think, are going side by side down the run towards the first corner. It looks like Koshalik trying to get involved as well, too. Who's that going around the outside? Oh, but it looks like Stefanko is actually going to lose out the most out of all of this. Koshalik goes very, very deep, though. He drops back down into 4th position behind Stefanko, but Stefanko has definitely lost out into that first corner. He's going to be really upset about that one. There's the Avast car running just behind Stefanko, now down into 4th position, and there is Hanzik on the move, going around the outside. That is not a typical overtaking location that you see there, and Polesny is down to 11th. I think he was up to 10th, but Hanzik now up into 10th position, up into the points as well, too.
Yeah, our new guy, Dominic Tofel, has had a spin. He was facing the wrong way as the pack came past him. What a great move as well by Andrei Schlebek into that first turn. He really did capitalise on the restart brilliantly well. And there is Blazek with the Lynx car of Jan Sikora really all over his tail, now coming through the Dunlop curve. And he, too, is putting pressure on Martin Kostelik in the Xiaomi Geek car, who we saw going very, very deep at that first turn as well. There is Jan Sikora. He's got a little bit of breathing space between himself and Jaroslav Hanzik, who, again, seems to be struggling in these, I say early stage of the race. We've obviously gone quite a way in as far as the timer is concerned, but now really getting the racing properly underway. And that is not where Hanzik wishes to find himself. Hopefully Dominic Tofel will be able to get back into the rhythm. And look at that, look at the Legion car. Blazek almost pushing Kostelik along the road, now jumping out from the slipstreams, not going to be able to do anything through the Vidal chicane. They use the slightly faster route through that chicane, as you can see, as opposed to the tighter lines. So it's easier for these Mercedes C9s to navigate. So the next major braking zone is going to be into turn 1. You just see Martin Stefanko go through the shot. He's right with Schlebek as well. Michael Schmidl already 2 seconds to the good. And again, you can see that is Dolajal in the second plus. Oh, there's impact between himself and the Xiaomi Geek. Wow, that was brilliantly held by the Xiaomi Geek car. Oh, and another big whack for, that was, yeah, there was Blazek in the Lenovo Legion car that took a mighty whack to the nose and pushed him right into the Mercedes arena.
Yep, and Sikora, I believe, in Dolajel going side by side. Yeah, on board with Blazek. who loses that position to Polesny, actually. Blazek's now down into 10th position, so it hasn't been a great lap or so for Blazek. He now finds himself under threat of dropping out of the points-paying positions because Prohaska is right behind, really not far off, so he could be in trouble from the Vodafone car. Prohaska is on the hard tires, whereas the rest of the field is on the mediums. We do expect the mediums to be just the more popular tire, and there you can see actually the damage on Polesny's car. Again, he's already been into the pits once for repairs, now back up into 9th position. Again, he was dead last at one point, and now finds himself in the lower points-paying position, so he's already found some time. He's right up to the back of Hanzik, actually. It looks like he got a much better exit, and I think he could be pressuring Hanzik at the end of this straight here, potentially. Again, it is the faster chicane that they run, so it's not quite as heavy of a braking zone as you would see in Formula 1, for example. But there he is. He's tucked right into the slipstream and really pressuring Hanzik. And there he goes. He's going to try the inside line. Can he brake late enough? No, he doesn't actually pull alongside Yaroslav at this time, but he is definitely... that was a notice of intent right there from Polesny, who really seems to be getting spurred on after dropping down to 12th.
There's Blazek once again. He's not wanting to lose any time after the battles he's already been in. And you can see Prohaska's fallen off the back of this.
Yeah, he's dropped off.
Yeah, he's struck. But then, exactly as you say, he is on the hard tyre. So he's looking to go that much longer into the race, maybe without traffic or what have you. So it's interesting that he's playing that strategy. I don't think we saw the hard tyres used at all in Spa. So it's quite an interesting decision, but maybe Prohaska prefers the characteristics of the hard tyre over the medium. You never know. It is down to driver preference. There's no ruling on which tyres they must use. The hard tyre is likely to get to the end. So we'll see then if that pays off for him. This is Martin Stefanko in third, chasing Andrei Slebek in the Alza Gaming car. You see the tail switching on the green C9, and there you see in the distance Michael Schmidl once again starting to stretch his legs at the front. That was 4.6 seconds before they came through the Dunlop curve. And Stefanko once again showing his determination to try and get up into second and start chasing after Michael Schmidl once again. But this track may be a little bit more difficult than we're expecting, as the braking zones that are coming are not particularly heavy. There's a fairly decent one there coming into the Kumo curve. But of course then the next braking zone we're used to seeing in the Vidal chicane, because they're using the faster line, just takes that opportunity away, unless of course somebody makes a mistake between where they are now, the Harsbergsborgen turn 13, then down to the Vidal chicane. And after that, because they have lost some speed, as they now come through the Vidal chicane. Oh, speaking of mistakes being made, huge moment there. That was Polesny that has flown off into the dust, bouncing off Jaroslav Honzik. We kind of caught that with looking from Jaroslav Honzik's car, and he's coming into the pits, so he's not happy with how that particular event went. He may have spotted some damage. It wasn't a particularly heavy impact with himself and Honzik, as Blazek is drawing alongside. No, doesn't quite get the move done against, that's Prohaska. So he remains, Honzik, I beg your pardon. So he doesn't quite get the move done, has to continue to pressure on. So Polesny, that's going to drop him down to the back of the field, but Tofel is gaining, interestingly, on the back of Prohaska that he's gaining. So he's not completely out of the running yet either.
Yeah, it seems maybe those medium, or maybe he's just getting comfortable with the car, as we can see Honzik just completely missing his braking point for the left-hander there at turn 5, which really put him offline for the right-hander through turn 6. That's going to allow Michael Blazek to close right up to the back of him. It's a bit of a medium-length sprint down to the cambered right-hander at turn 7. It's deceptively quick. You think it looks like a hairpin. Oh, there goes Blazek up the inside with just some extra grip being found there. That's very surprising. It seems he just found that little bit of extra grip at the exit of the corner compared to Honzik, and it really seems like Honzik is struggling here. Again, we saw him with those problems through turns 5 and 6, and that transferred through to the exit of turn 7. So Blazek, I think, is going to be looking to make his way past the Thrustmaster car as quickly as he can. You can see he's actually underneath the rear wing of Jaroslav Honzik as they come onto the long straight. What can he make happen here? He's already alongside the Thrustmaster car. Meanwhile, Stefanko and Klebets are going side by side nearly. No, not quite. Looks like Klebets is going to hold on to that. Here we go, side by side between Blazek and Hanzik, and it looks like Hanzik, he's going to lose out, and Blazek does move up into 8th position. It's very, very close between the two of them, but the Legion car making use of that. Oh, we got two side-by-sides. Klebets and Stefanko, Zubek and Dolezhel heading down towards the first corner. Stefanko with the inside line. It really seems like Klebets has been faster everywhere that it matters. The Avast car. Oh, and Stefanko is around. Stefanko is around. That's going to lose him tons of positions, and in fact, it may even drop him out of the points. It's a second spin in a row in the 1989 Mercedes-Benz. Oh, some more side-by-side action, as it looks like Zubek is doing his best to try and hold on to that position just behind Klebets. And again, that is for second place now. So this is very important stuff for these guys.
Oh, when is Martin Stefanko going to get a break? Just, trying to get that move done into turn 1, and it all just comes unstuck. Now, looking back from Slebek, that is Peter Zubek and Peter Dolezhel. They've been crossing swords all race long. Kostelik isn't too far off the back of that either. So, again, Andrei Slebek will know all too well how easy it is to make a mistake in these cars. Of course, we've seen quite a few of them already. But because they are that much more difficult to operate, he's really going to have to concentrate very, very hard. One mistake is going to cost him quite a few positions, and he'll be well aware of that. It's good to see that he's still got the pace to be able to mix it up at the front as Zubek starts to tuck underneath the rear wing of that Alza Gaming car. And also off the back of that, Jan Seeker and the Lynx car's not too far off the back of this either. So, of course, as they battle, they will slow each other down. There is Michael Blazek, who's been constantly fighting someone all race long. It's now Jan Seeker in the Lynx car. So now coming back up to the Vidal chicane. And, being proven wrong once again. I said there wasn't likely to be an overtake through there. And what did we see last lap? That's exactly what we saw. That's the nature of the beast, though. As now coming back onto the start-finish straight. And there you see Dolezhel again having a think about where to position his car, looking to attack Zubek. Zubek trying to get a move on Schleber as well. And again, that Xiaomi Geek car of Martin Kostelik. He seems to be one for the late braking move into that turn 1. It's been a little bit wild for him so far, but you never know. Different driving styles, they can pay off as the race continues.
Blazek, it seems, closing up to the back of Seeker. Seeker, I think, is even closing in on this battle for second position as well, too. So what is a 4-way battle for second could very quickly become a 6-way battle, potentially, as we get that. Oh, yeah, and you can see that's where Kostelik actually got a bit out of shape into turn 1. I think he came across on Klebets, and then that was the Seiko Plus car going for a spin. Stefanko clips the back of it. Lovely, lovely slow-mo shots. You can see Zubek coming together with the Lynx car as well too at the back, and you can see the Sandisk car just trying to navigate his way through all of this insanity as well. Yeah. Lovely, I want more of that. That is fantastic, because that's the kind of slow motion you need in order to really break down when you have action such as that going on. So on board though with Dolezhel, he's on the back of Zubek, and Kostelik is not that far behind, as I mentioned before. Seeker really not that far off. Oh yes, Dolezhel, he decides to come into the pits. That's a late decision after possibly a bit of contact, and Zubek will continue on. So again, we do expect everybody to come into the pits once. You can theoretically do an entire race on one tank of fuel, but you would have to do so much fuel saving that it just really wouldn't be competitive. So it's good to see that we're getting a bit more variety with the pit stops today. Instead of Vaskar looked like he missed his apex into turn 1, but yeah, we've already got a few drivers having made their pits, some a bit more voluntary than others though. Yeah,
it's not a mandatory stop, so they can run whatever strategy they like, and I wonder whether that's what Prohaska was thinking. He was counting on possibly a full course yellow, which is exactly what was granted to him. So if he was possibly running a bit lean in the fuel mixer, that will definitely help him out quite heavily. So we'll see how that transpires. Peter Dolezhel comes up behind Prohaska, so that puts Dolezhel in 11th at the moment. Looking on board with Blazek, still staring at the back of the Lynx car of Jan Seeker. They are gaining to that what is now a pack of 3. That is Slebek, Zubek and Kostelik. So that 3-way battle is going to become a 5-car train before too long. So as if Andrei Slebek wasn't under enough pressure, he's now got more people joining the train.
Polesny as well closing in. He's now been into the pits twice, which is definitely not optimal for the Mercedes-Benz C9. That is really not the fastest way around any of the 4 circuits we'll be running with this car. So, but Polesny is doing well. So it seems with the clean air and possibly with a bit of motivation, he is running well. Let's see if Zubek can make anything happen on Hlebets here down into the chicane. Yes, they are side by side, but no, Hlebets holds on to that second place position. He does go a bit offline. That's going to allow the Avast car to shoot up the inside into the final corner, and with some late braking, he moves up into third. It looks like Kostulik might try to get a bit opportunistic here as well, see if he can grab a position off of Hlebets, but it seems that the Alza Gaming car with a better exit coming out of that final corner is going to maintain that third place position. He's going to try something up the inside on the Avast car, but no, he is going to stay in third position. So, and Schmidl's into the pits, Sikura's into the pits, as is Blazek as well too. So we've got 3 cars into the pits with just over 21.5 minutes remaining in this race. So it is still very, very close, but these are your new leaders as it stands right now until they eventually come into the pits, and I would assume come out behind Schmidl, but Schmidl could get traffic. He doesn't have any right now, but it is a possibility.
That's probably the first time all season Michael Schmidl's not been in the lead.
Just
it
about.
took a pit stop to do it, but yeah, so yeah, Michael Schmidl down in 6th. And that's certainly something we haven't said all season long. Peter Zubek leads the way. Andrei Slebek still in second position with Kostulik in third, as you can see in the Xiaomi Geek car. He has been looking to make that move. He's very confident on the brakes. And there in the background, just seen Martin Stefenko sliding his car around the Dunlop curve. So he's looking to press on and make the most of the fact that he finds his arch rival, Michael Schmidl, behind him. Whether he's aware of that is another matter, but that is exactly where he finds himself. There is Blazek staring at the back still of Jan Sikora. So he's been trying to do something against the Lynx car for a while and still finds himself chasing that particular tail fin. So jumping back up to the battle for third place. And Zubek has got a bit of breathing space between himself and Slebek. There's a couple of seconds to the good. And there's Martin Stefenko. Wow, he is really closing in on this particular battle. And the top 2 now coming in. So that's going to... Oh, and so did Stefenko. Oh, that I didn't quite expect. I didn't expect him to come in at the same time. But that is going to certainly help Schmidl get back up towards the front. The top 4 in the pits. Does Jaroslav Honza come in? Yep, the top 5 come in. So that gifts Michael Schmidl. He had a break from the lead. He decided to let somebody else have the glory for a moment. But he'll resume his duties at the front as we have less than 20 minutes to go.
Yep, just a couple of minutes out of the lead, but he does regain it. And look how busy that pit lane is. Yeah, there's a lot of Mercedes machinery in that pit lane right now. Not just including the race cars, but also the safety cars as well too. Medical car, all of those cars. And there is Schmidl making his way through the first sector with a big gap to the car behind. You can actually see, or rather you can't see any cars behind him. You can see him using the grass there, though, at the inside of the exit of turn 3. But here we go. This is where the action is as we rejoin Zubek in 4th position. He's got Sikora not that far behind him with Blazek as well. Keep in mind, Zubek did pit a little bit later than these guys, so his tires will be marginally more healthy. Prohaska is still out there on the hards at the moment, and in fact, he is leading this pack. So we'll see if Blazek is able to make anything happen here, or rather, excuse me, Zubek is able to make anything happen on Prohaska when they come up to the back of him, because of course he is on the hardest compound tires and they're quite worn at this point, so you would expect Prohaska not to put up too much of a fight for these guys. But here we go between Polesny and Stefenko for P9, I'm afraid to say, but Polesny with the inside line heading into turn 7. Stefenko can't quite make it around the outside. Can he try the switchback though on the Acer car? But no, he can't quite make anything happen there. Short run to the Schumacher S's, and they're definitely off the throttle. This is not a full throttle chicane for these C9s at all, and Stefenko will have to sit behind for at least a couple more corners, maybe able to make something happen coming out of turn 11 through 12 and into 13 and 14. So we'll keep an eye on the Republic of Gamers driver, who is kind of at the back of this long train, which is again at the moment essentially being led by Prohaska, who is still yet to stop.
Yeah, but he's having a great run out. There's still like 2.5 seconds between Zubek and Prohaska, so he's not immediately under threat, and Prohaska's only a few seconds behind Dolajol So there may well be some scope for the the podium positions to change, as we still are on board with Michael Blazek, still staring at the back of Jan Sikora, as the Lynx car has a think about something into the inside of turn 1 on the back of Zubek, but doesn't quite make that happen. It was a little bit slow there by Blazek, whether he was trying to avoid an impact, I'm not entirely sure, but he looked quite slow through that first turn, so that may cost him. And there is Thomas Prohaska, the Vodafone car. It's been a while since we've actually seen that car towards the sharper end of the grid, which is great to see. Again, not meaning to sound disingenuous, these are all absolutely fantastic drivers in this particular league, but it's not gone particularly well for the Vodafone car, so it's good to see him at the sharper end, but he's got a lot of pressure now. Zubek has closed in on him, and of course he is carrying this great big train. That is essentially third right the way down to 10th. That is in that particular. So it's essentially the rest of the points paying positions are in this snake.
Yeah, extremely close. Shout out to Dominic as well in 12th. Oh, never mind. Up ahead, Prohaska and Zubek going side by side. Zubek with the inside line into the Schumacher X. That's going to hinder Prohaska's exit. And here comes Blazek as well too. He's going to try and take the pair of them if at all possible. But no, Sikora and Prohaska side by side through the left-hander into the right-hander. The Lynx car is ahead now. Here comes Blazek. He's going to make his way through as well too. So Sikora is ahead. Blazek is ahead. And it looks like, is that Klebets? Yeah, that's Klebets in the background as well. He's going to make his way past as well in the Elza Gaming car. So again, Prohaska is on old hards, but I do wonder, Chris, if he's actually going to be the first driver that we see fitting the soft compound tires, because the softs really weren't going to be, they were never an option in Spa, from what I understood, what I heard from the drivers and from the teams and all of that. They weren't going to be useful in Spa, but they could be useful here at the Nürburgring, as Stefanko looks like to line up Polesny once again into turn 1. No other side-by-side action in the background there, but it does look like Stefanko's getting a pretty good run in the background. Will he go side-by-side? No! Defensive for Polesny, and he holds on to that 9th place position. So Prohaska has dropped down pretty significantly, but again, he could go onto the softs. Yeah, was that? Okay. Yeah, I thought you were exclaiming for the same reason I was exclaiming, because it looked like the Vodafone car was going off the circuit.
That's what I thought he was doing,
yeah, but again, Prohaska could go onto the softs. He is going to lose a lot of time in the pits, though, but we'll see if he can make it work for him later on.
Yeah, what a shame. No sooner was I saying that it was good to see him towards the sharper end. Commentator's curse kicked in. He's now found in 10th position, but exactly as I said, he is on those rather used hard tyres, so they don't seem to be working as well as the recently reshot medium runners that have all just flown past him. But it's all down to how well he can manage them, or exactly as you say, if he does choose to run the soft tyres, it will be exceedingly quick towards the tail end of the race. And he may just choose to run them as a why not, let's see what they do. We haven't seen them this season. Of course, this is the second round of the C9s, so there's still 2 rounds after this one that has this glorious roaring car within it, so who knows what we'll see in those next couple of rounds, but you never know. Prohaska may choose to pull something amazing out of the bag. Blazek is probably fairly tired of staring at the back of red and white. He's been there for quite a while now. There we see Zubek, and now in 3rd position, trying to break away from Jan Sikora. Jan, of course, defending with everything he's got against a lot of roaring horses coming up behind him. Here's Michael Blazek going to have another think about it on the inside of turn 1. Again, they've all worked out how to best handle how well these things twitch and how well they slide, etc. Looking from the back of Polesny, who was further up in the Predator Blue car, but it did rather come undone. He's still under pressure from the Republic of Gamers car of Martin Stefanko, and Prohaska's actually brought his car into the pits, so we'll see if he ditches those hard tyres or what he ditches them for. There he is in the Vodafone car, now coming to a stop. That's going to give Dominic Toffel another position. And that was Stefanko did not get a good drive out of the Mercedes arena. That's dropped him back a little bit from Polesny, but he's already closed him back in. So we'll see then. It's going to be a move into Dunlop curve. If Stefanko, what a drive from the Predator Blue car of Polesny. Wow, that was a great one there to defend very well against Stefanko. He's lost a little bit of time against Kostlik, so he's not in a position to attack at the moment. But anything can happen when the field is that tightly packed.
Yeah, Stefanko seems to be struggling as far as overtaking is concerned in this Mercedes-Benz C9. It felt the same way last time out at Spa in Belgium as well, too. But I'm really just getting that same sort of feeling. I'll tell you one thing he's doing, though. He's not fighting the wheel as much as Polesny. You can really see Polesny working the wheel through turn 10. Just a lot of little corrections, minor corrections, trying to straighten up and get on the throttle as quickly as you can, because of course he does have Martin Stefanko, the 2017 Virtual GP champion, right behind him in hot pursuit and desperate to get by. You can see how much more speed he carries through the chicane. He's going to try one up the inside into the final corner, and he does get by the Predator blue car. Oh, and a big moment actually for Polesny as he goes a bit wide out of that final corner. That's going to lose him some time to Stefanko, and Stefanko is going to be comfortably into 8th position as he heads down into turn 1. So he can now turn his focus towards Martin Kostulik, who is at the rear end. He's at the tail end of what is essentially the battle for 3rd position. So if Stefanko plays his cards right over the next 12 minutes or so, he could potentially find himself at the bottom of the rostrum. But he's got a lot of overtaking to do. He's currently in 8th position. He's got to make 5 overtakes in about 12 minutes or so, which is, I mean, that's a tall order. And again, he seems like he's struggled. He's quicker through the corners, it seems, than almost everybody, as Kostulik, with an interesting line coming out of turn 6 there. He seems much quicker through the corners than everybody he's been stuck behind, but he's been stuck behind them nonetheless. So, yeah, it's a bit unfortunate for Stefanko.
Absolutely, but he is pressing on nonetheless. There is Dominic Tofelt, who's carrying on. He's got a pretty lonely race ahead of him in the Sandis car. The rookie to this series has pretty much kept himself out of trouble. I think there's a little bit of damage on his car, but looking at what the other guys have gone through is hardly a surprise. As Michael's Middle once again sets the fastest lap, and you indeed called it. Justin Prohaska did indeed fit the soft tyres, so we'll see if he's able to get at least the fastest lap for his troubles. He's 20 seconds behind Tofelt, so a long way to go with only 10 minutes left in the race to do anything about it. Blazek, we saw him lining up for a move on Jan Sikro, but was not able to pay off at the moment, and Kostulik and Slebek are in close proximity as well, although again we just saw a flick of dust there. Doesn't look like Kostulik is really driving a little bit too hard. He's spinning up the rears quite a lot. Oh, bit of a lock-up by Slebek coming into turn 1, so I'm sure he was trying to avoid an impact with the Blazek. Now looking back from the Lynx car of Jan Sikro, he's been defending from that Blue Legion car all race long. And this is the leisurely drive that Michael Smiddle once again finds for himself. No one is anywhere near him, so once again a complete league of his own. This man is seemingly unstoppable for the time being.
Yeah, the gap in qualifying, I think, really highlighted the pace difference. We're seeing that pace difference a bit exaggerated due to the pure insanity of the battling that's going on from second down. Dolezal does find himself in a fairly comfortable 2nd position with about a 5 to 10 second gap over Zubek as it stands right now. But remember, it wasn't always that big. Dolezal had to do a lot of battling, so it looks like he's going to actually extend his 2nd place position in the championship, but unfortunately the man ahead of him, Michael Schmidl, as he makes his way towards the final corner yet again. And but yeah, it's him who's won every single race, and it looks like he's on for win number 6 potentially. And there is Peter Dolezal, who's been having a fantastic season. He really seems much more at home in the Mercedes-Benz AMG GT3 car that we saw for the first 4 races, and also this Mercedes-Benz C9 Le Mans edition. Seemingly just sports cars and prototypes are a bit more familiar to him, or a bit more comfortable to him. We're on board once again, looking backwards at Sikora, or on Sikora, looking backwards at Blazek, I should say, with Klebets really not that far behind. I'll tell you who's really, it seems, suffered in this race is Kostulik, because of course, if you remember, after the start, he found himself in 2nd, 3rd, something like that. He was right up there in the podium positions, and he's never been far from the podium battle. But again, you know, he was one of those podium sitters earlier on. He now finds himself in 7th, and coming under attack from Martin Stefanko, which, you know, if you've got Martin Stefanko behind you with over 7.5 minutes still of green flag racing, plus another lap after that as well, too, And Stefanko that close within a couple of car lengths, you certainly can't feel comfortable. And indeed, Kostulik, it seems, has kind of dropped off the back of that battle for the final podium position. He's got just over a second and a half to Hlebets up ahead. So it's not been a great kind of run for Kostulik. It started off really well, but then it's just kind of gone downhill. And it looks like Martin Stefanko is going to try and get by Martin Kostulik. So a bit of Martin on Martin action here, where I think we're in store for.
Yeah, indeed, and still looking at Blasek and Sikora. And Blasek having a look on the inside, is he? I'm not sure if he was able to draw a side-by-side. Oh, he was, but he's overshot it through the Kumo curve. Can he hang on to the inside for the big curve? Can Jan Sikora get a good drive on the outside? Who's going to come out on top? A big tank slapper there for Blasek and the Lenovo Leisure car. He had finally got past the Lynx car. Andre Slebek is there as well to pick up the pieces in case it comes wrong. And I'm sure Michael Blasek is going to be happy with that. And Kostulik, it's lost that position to Stefanko. So both of those cars swapping places in their respective battles, all at pretty much the same point as well. Still lots of battling going on. And there in the background is Polesny. So he could look to get involved with some battles in the closing stage of the race as well.
Unbelievable. I cannot believe Polesny has basically caught up to the back of Martin Stefanko. And Polesny has not had a good race. I mean, he's been all over the place. And the fact that he's closing up to the back of Kostulik, who's only recently been overtaken by Stefanko, that is incredible. What a drive from the Predator Blue driver of Wojciech Polesny. That is truly incredible. That is a recovery drive and a half right there. Really, I've got to tip my hat to him, because that is a perfect example of never giving up, because I'm sure some people, after the incidents he had, they would have just called it a day, and he has continued right on. He's up into 9th, and as I mentioned, he's catching up to the back to Kostulik for 8th. Which would just further emphasize how Kostulik's race has kind of gone downhill. I wonder if maybe Kostulik pitted too early, and now he's running around on extremely worn mediums. That could potentially be the case, but here we go with Hlebets and Sikora. So after Blasek managed to get by, he's actually pulled an over second and a half gap. And it looks like Hlebets is going to try and get by the exact same way, actually. He tried to go around the outside at turn 10. It hasn't quite worked out for him. He's very, very close, tucked underneath the rear wing as they come through turn 11. But again, it hasn't quite worked out for him just yet. He needs a good exit here if he wants to overtake the Lynx car, but also if he wants to defend from the Republic of Gamers car of Martin Stefanko, who is clearly on a charge. Up to 7th position after what has been another shocking race for Martin Stefanko. 2 races in a row in this Mercedes-Benz C9. It's just not been going well for Stefanko, but he's going to try and recover some positions here with just under 4.5 minutes remaining plus 1 lap. The Lynx car feels the need to go very defensive. Jan Sikora moves to the right-hand side of the circuit, but as they get into the braking zone, he moves back over to the left-hand side. Looks like a big lockup, actually, for Blasek up ahead in 4th position, as we can see the smoke from his car as we get into turn 1, but it is as they were. Hlebets not able to actually move past Sikora, excuse me, and Stefanko is right onto the back of this pair, and again, Polesny closing in on Kostulik too. It's getting very tight in the closing stages of this German Grand Prix here.
Fabulous. This is what we love to see. A big snap there by the Alza Gaming car. Slebek had nothing left to defend against the Republic of Gamers car. Martin Stefanko brilliantly poised to take advantage of that one mistake. We've said before how costly a single mistake is, and that was exactly demonstrated there by Martin Stefanko. An easy gain of position. There we see Michael Blasek, who has built up about 2.5 seconds, give or take, against that car he's been chasing for so long. Just goes to show how much time he lost behind Jan Sikora, who is now being pressured by Martin Stefanko. So another potential position then for the Republic of Gamers car before the race closes. It's going to be difficult, I think, for Martin Stefanko to then close in on Blasek, but if anybody can do it, he certainly is him.
Yeah, Blazek's going to be difficult to catch, as you said. I think you're right. He's on a bit of a charge, too. I think he's really been spurred on in this race. So the Lenovo Legion car is up into 4th, and if I'm not mistaken, he's actually closing in on Peter Zubek. So that would be Zubek's first podium this season, if I'm not mistaken, if he were to come home in his current position at the end of this race. It's been a difficult season for Zubek as well, too. We've seen a bit of a shakeup compared to 2017, and we've talked about it all year long. But Zubek is one of those guys that has been struggling and could really do with a podium here, but Blazek definitely is closing in on him, so the Avast car might end up losing that final podium position. I do think Dolezal is safe, because he's got a significant gap to Zubek, and I don't think Blazek is lapping quite that quickly. Stefanko is still stuck behind Sikora. Polesny is...
Problem.
Yeah, that's Hlebets, actually. He is off the course at the entrance of Turn 3, right in between Turn 4 and Turn 3, and Kostulik is right up to the back of him, and I don't know if his problems are still slowing him down. Kostulik moves to the side again. That's not the first time we've seen that kind of move from Kostulik in the past. That is going to allow Polesny through, but he's gone deep. That's going to allow Kostulik back through. So Hlebets is now down into 7th position. Kostulik right behind him appears to be struggling as well, too. So if Polesny plays his cards right here, he could move up into 7th in the tail end of this race.
That is very true, but again, I think that just the best of those tyres are gone. We've seen Martin Kostulik, exactly as you were saying before, just struggle to keep the horses under control in that car. And like you say, he did pit very early, so the best of the tyres are absolutely long gone. And he's going to have to really defend very hard for another 2 laps against Wojtek Polesny, who, exactly as you say, has done a great job to catch the back of this particular field. But it's going to be very hard. In a car with comparatively little downforce, the Le Mans edition of the C9 has got much less wing options than the track version, and of course at a track that has quite a few corners in it, and with very dead tyres, that's a lot of things stacking up against the Xiaomi Geek driver. Stefanko's behind Jan Sikora again.
Unbelievable.
So he's made a mistake somewhere. He must be absolutely livid. He's back behind the linked car. Now having a look again on the outside of turn 1. Massive lockup there for the Republic of Gamers cars. So again, Martin Stefanko was capitalizing on others' mistakes earlier on. He seems to have made one of his own. And yet again, Jan Sikora is back in front.
Yeah, very defensive into the left-hander there at turn 3, and he does hold on to that position for the meantime, as I believe this is going to be the penultimate lap, depending on where Schmidl is, because, of course, he is quite a ways up the road from this battle, unsurprisingly. Again, Stefanko has been facing the wrong way on this circuit on at least one occasion. It's been a difficult day for him, without a doubt, and again, he is the main rival to Michael Schmidl. He's the man that put an end to Michael Schmidl's championship dominance in 2017, and it's seeming less and less likely for that to happen as this season goes on, because of course in the early parts of the 2017 season, while Schmidl was getting a lot of race wins, Stefanko was picking up a lot of second places, whereas in this season it's not as many second places for Stefanko. Again, it's a big old gap of over 60 points from Schmidl down to the rest of the drivers, so it is a big gap, and there is the man now, and he did get the white flag, so it is going to be the final lap for Michael Schmidl. Again, these guys are behind him, so they'll come through. They'll get the white flag this time by, so they still have a little more than one lap of racing still to go, which, if you're Jan Sikora, has got to be really frustrating, because that Republic of Gamers car is really large in the mirrors.
Yeah, he is staring at the flag, wanting that to become checkered very much sooner than it is. I wonder... Michael Schmidl could actually just completely ignore the final phase of this season, just not bother with the single-seaters at this rate. Of course, he will do. As Stefanko again thinking about an outside manoeuvre around turn 1, forces the linked car to go very tight to the defensive move, but again, it's just not paying off. There's not enough grip left for Stefanko to use to try and capitalize on that line. Oh no, soon do I say that, he has a look on the outside coming through the Mercedes arena, but yet again Jan Sikora has got that one covered. If he needed any practice in defensive driving, Stefanko's certainly given him the opportunity to practice that to great effect. And just in the background there, that 3-car battle of Slebek, Kostulik and Polesny continues. But all eyes on this particular battle. It's the closest battle I think we have, indeed. Well, it is the closest battle we have on track in this final lap. And still, Jan Sikora is fending off the Republic Gamers car, now coming through the Dunlop curve for the final time. And you saw again Stefanko having a think about trying to cut on the underside of the Leeds car. And there you see the tail just kicking out. That costs Stefanko some time, and Smizzle's just having fun now, trying to drift the car around the final turn. But once again, you can't blame him. He's got such a lead. He's having good fun out there. But once again, another win for Michael Smiddle. Second place going to come to this, man. What a great run as well for Peter Dolleschal after being spun around facing the wrong way at the end of the first lap before the full course yellow came out. But he's going to come around the final turn, also trying to come around sideways in the Serco Plus car. Peter Zubek is fending off Blazek. Blazek's been chasing someone all race long, and towards the end he's chasing the podium mode, doesn't quite manage it, but Peter Zubek does in the Avast car. Michael Blazek in the rebranded Lenovo Legion car for fourth. Jan Sikora just manages to fend off Stefanko for fifth position. Slebek comes home at the end of that particular train in seventh. Kostelik 8, Polesny 9. And there you see Jaroslav Honzik, who's we've barely seen all race long. He's had a terrible time, and someone running through the pits. And there we see Dominik Toffel. He did well in the early stages of the race. I think struggled to keep up with just the incredible pace that we've seen from our seasoned veterans. But a fair effort from him. He's kept himself out of trouble, as previously said, and brings the car home.
Yeah, hats off to Dominic. It's not easy to just jump in a series like this and be competitive. And the fact that he actually finished in 11th position, I think, is fantastic. He was not that far off Honzik. We saw some of the new guys coming in 2017, and they would struggle to finish on the lead lap. So Dominic doing a fantastic job. Within a minute and a half of Michael Schmidl, who again wins by over 22 seconds to Peter Dolleschal, who is having a fantastic season, you have to say, in second position. Michael Blazek not that far behind in third on 79 points. It's very close between Dolleschal and Blazek, and in fact, I think if not for Zubek's first podium of the 2018 season, I think Blazek would actually be ahead of Dolleschal as it stands right now. But a fantastic drive, a fantastic race.
I think, the main thing was to survive the first corner. There was plenty of dive-bombs from the other drivers. So, yeah, when I survived the first corner, then it was good. I was, trying to have some pace, but not overheating the tires and the engine. So, yeah, as I said before in the previous races, another easy win. There was plenty of problems behind me. I also tried to, secure the fastest lap, which worked out. So, yeah, I'm really happy about that. I was obviously thinking about the fuel saving and the tire saving, which worked out. So, yeah, after that, I was just trying to push every lap and get some advantage to the other drivers.
Yeah, I tried to be safe in turn one, but someone from behind just came to me and turned me off. So I need to continue and just hope for a better result. Because two drivers in front of me were slower, so I go to the pits almost in a half of the race. And it was a great tactic, great strategy.
No, I don't expect that, but after qualifying, when I was qualified on the P5, I was thinking that I have a speed for the podium in the race, and then yes, I got it. I got the third place, and yes, I'm happy. I only try to watch around my car, and I avoid other cars and other problems, and yes, the race speed was there, and only after my pit stop, I was only trying to manage my speed, and yes, I think after the pit stop it was easy. I was surprised by the third place today, and we will see next races how will be my race speed. So we will see.
So it is a new face on the podium in 2018 as Zubek collects a podium in 2018 as Zubek collects a podium trophy there, but it is Schmidl on top once again. Dolezal in second, Chris.
Absolutely, and this just goes to show, you were talking about people just never giving up, and this race really did prove how much you can achieve if you just stick to it. No matter what happens, just keep on pushing, and I can't wait for the rest of the season.
That's it for the race. We will see you next time in Sakir for the Bahrain Grand Prix.